Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Delighted to welcome Luke McQuillan back on the show. Luke, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's been a few weeks, anyways.
It has indeed,
Definitely.
it has indeed. We'll start off at Richmond Park where it finished St Patrick's Athletic nil. Sligo Rovers won. Mata scored his ninth goal of the season to give Sligo all 3 points. Luke, what's your thoughts on the departure of Tim Clancy from St Patrick's Athletic? Was it a surprise? Do you think it was the right decision? Do you think it was the wrong decision? What's your thoughts overall on that one?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Obviously, like I thought he had picked up a bit of form. They obviously got a few decent results. Wins against UCD, wins against Droghs, wins against um Bohs as well. I thought he was, starting to pick up a bit of form. Obviously, they've had a bit of a drop off, but I wouldn't say it's been a collapse though. You know that type of way. Like I've said, they completely collapsed in the last sort of 2 or 3 games. I think they've done reasonably like obviously they had Shamrock Rovers at home and they lost that one, but like there's no shame in the Shamrock Rovers really. You know what I mean? They're top side. You know what I mean? And obviously the loss against Sligo the other day was obviously very poor. And I think the performance in that game was shocking as well. So kind of didn't sort of help them out too much, but again, I don't know. Look, it's one of them ones. I think time will tell whether it's a good decision or not, because obviously Pats aren't far off Europe. I think there was only like 2 points off that fourth spot. So it's not like they're miles off the pace. So whoever really comes in there now, like obviously they've a job on their hands. But at the same time, like they're still in a good sort of position. Like I don't expect Pats to be challenging for a title at the minute. They don't have the squad to do it. Their squad's nowhere near good enough, and their squad's actually not even half as good as it was last year.
No.
Um, really not. So like nobody's expecting Pats to be even top two. So Europe is probably the best they can kind of get with what they have. But you've got to question maybe just some of the recruitment. What sort of has gone on there, because it's not like Pats don't have money. Do you know what I mean? There is money there to be spent. So I'm really, really interested to see what's gone wrong there. And it's such a pity for Tim, because obviously Tim done so well with Drogheda, and I've always liked him. A lot of respect for Tim. So very disappointed for him. But look, I'm sure he'll get another job, and I'm sure like he's a great manager. He's a really, really good coach. If you can give him the players to do that, he's gonna absolutely do really well, like he done with Drogheda. And I think he will get a good job in the next sort of while, hopefully for him. But it's obviously it'd be a disappointing one for him at the minute, because it was such a big step for him taking from Drogheda to St Pat's, and obviously it didn't work out in the end. But you hope that maybe he'll pick up something in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, I mean, like the table there, like Dundalk, Sligo, Shels, and Pats, for example, would be kind of swapping positions an awful lot throughout the season. So you would say they're all in contention for Europe, and you won't see Dundalk or Sligo or Shelburne actually sack their manager. So in that kind of sense, I don't know. It's a hard one to tell as well. I don't know. It's a difficult one. But as for Sligo, like I suppose the difference for them is that they have a striker who's banging goals. Pats don't.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And Mata has been brilliant this season. Like, starting to turn into Aiden Pina who, like, that kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really like everyone was worried about sort of where's the goals going to come from in this Sligo team, like who's going to replace Keenan, the goals that he brought to the club last year. But he scored a ridiculous amount of goals last season, and he was so good for them. And they had Matt there last year, but I think his performances kind of went under the radar with how good Keenan was.
Sometimes he didn't even start games when Keenan was playing, which is strange.
Yeah, it's strange, but also the goals he scored, and
Mm.
look, Matt well on his way to even matching that, and even possibly even getting more than Keena. So Matt needs to keep going the way he is. He's a fantastic player. His movement is really good around the box and that, and
Very good
you
in the
hang the ball.
air as well. He's not the biggest, but he's very good in the air.
Yeah, he scored a few headed goals now in the last
Yeah.
sort of couple of weeks against Drogheda as well. I remember that, and he got that one obviously at the weekend on Monday there, and that was better. That was ridiculous. I don't think he had any right to winning that. So it was a great finish, and yeah, he's a really good player, and he's turning out to be a huge asset for Sligo Rovers.
Yeah, he is, to be fair. Bohemians 5, Cork City nil. Now, Bohemians, they drew UCD last time out. They're top of the league. They've been, look, it's a massive difference this season, isn't it? And, I mean, a lot of people, think that they probably won't challenge for the title, and Bulls fans will tell you otherwise. But it's some turnaround, isn't it? I mean, Flores, McDonald, Coote with 2 goals. He's been brilliant this season when he's been available. He missed the last few games through injury. And McManus,
Yeah.
it's a big win for Bohs against a Cork City side that look like they're really struggling at the moment, actually, the longer the season goes on. But what can you say about Bohs so far, to be honest with you? Brilliant, haven't they?
Yeah, it wasn't
Mine is our serious credit, like, to be fair, isn't it? Well, it's come in and steady the shit.
Done a remarkable job there. Because I was like, you looked at who they brought in, and we did question it, you know, man. But now you look at it, probably have been really smart signings. The ones they have made, the likes of, you know, Paddy Kirk has been excellent, I think. And Dean Williams has done well when he's not getting a whole load of minutes because he's, you know, you've got Afalabi there, which is good to have them options because Dean Williams will score goals, like, you know what I mean. So he's very reliable and sort of front of goal. So that was obviously another smart signing. So look, they've got really good players there. The 2 centre halves as well aren't bad either. I think sort of early days with them, I was kind of a bit like, are these lads like what? Are they going to be cut up to this? But they've in the last couple of really stepped up.
I think Casper has been the pick of the 2 so far. Actually, the 2 Polish guys. I think he's been the go out for me.
Yeah. He's a big lad now.
Yeah. But decent balance, doesn't he, for a big defender? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. So look, Bohs have done really well. Nobody expected this. I certainly didn't. I remember last season, probably only this time last year, we were destroying them for how poor they were, and that was.
That's fair though, Luke, because I think most fans will tell you, and now that they watched them play this season, they'll tell you. I think it was a number of things, but I don't think there was 100% effort and commitment in the players that were there either. You see the likes of Ali Coote, case in point, like he them tools in my opinion last season. You know, under Keith Long and then under Pender or whatever. He wasn't really playing under Pender really. But look at the difference now since Declan Devine's come in. It's definitely giving them a fresh. It's not just the fact that their signing's been good. I think it's giving the rest of them a kick in the arse as well, basically, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think some of the things that possibly went on last season there, we don't know, but from what you hear, different things, like there was obviously something in the camp that was sort of unsettled at Bohemians, and I'm not sure what it was, and I don't really think you can. Only the people who are there and involved will know, but it's something was not right.
Because it definitely wasn't a happy camp, that's for sure.
Anyway. No, it definitely wasn't. But I think bringing back Keith Buckley as well has sort of helped them out as well. Like, he's a real leader for them and a really good player as well. So look, it's going really well for Bohemians. They had a great win there on Monday night, 5-0. You can't ask for any more. Obviously, Cork got a red card, which didn't kind of help their causes, but they probably would have won the game comfortably enough in the end, anyways. But Bohs were really good. Some of the goals they scored were excellent. Flores is looking like a menace from
another example. Yeah.
Dead ball situation. That fella it's ridiculous the amount of free kicks he's scoring. He's looking really good. So fair play to them, and you know, I'm sure that if they can keep going the way they are, and like, they can only take it one game as it comes, because obviously they're not going to get sucked into a title race and they're not going to get ahead of themselves, but they'll want to be where they are and come towards the end of the season. And if they can keep going the way they are, who knows what they can do this season. But realistically, they've got to take it one game at a time, and they've got a Dublin Derby coming this Friday, and that'd be a statement if they went and won there, like, you know.
Absolutely. As for Cork City, you mentioned the red card to Gilchrist, but they kind of fell apart after that, didn't they? It was 30 minutes when he was sent off, and Bohs scored 5 goals. And the worrying thing for Cork is they conceded an awful lot of goals. They conceded 28 goals this season, more than anyone else in the league at this minute in time. And worryingly for them, like, they're 3 points above UCD. It almost feels like this could be another Harp UCD situation like last year a little bit. But they're 5 points off drop of the Cork, like, you know, and for near the bottom of the table, I think that's a massive gap, isn't it?
Yeah, well, hopefully, anyways. I love that again. But look, realistically, I don't know. It's very hard to say, obviously. But from what we have sort of picked up in the first couple of weeks of the season, is that Cork and UCD are fairly weak. But Cork can turn it around. You know what I mean? They've done quite well to be where they like. In some games they're doing all right. Like, they did a good win against Dundalk at home a couple of weeks ago. So, like, you know, at home in Turner's Cross, they'll always be difficult to play against. So
yeah,
they sort of, if they can pick up a few away, sort of start getting away results on the road, that'll obviously help them, because at home they will beat teams, and they will beat teams that nobody expects them to beat, because, you know, they're still a fairly decent side. But it's not been a great start to the season for them, and look, hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, finished at Weavers Park. Drogheda United 1, Shelburne 1, Draper after 49 and Caffrey after 69. That's a couple of goals now for Draper, isn't it? A couple of games. So he'll be happy with that. But yeah, you were obviously at this one, and I briefly mentioned the Dundalk one as well because that was just, I know you'd be disappointed, but it was a crazy, crazy game, and it was what you would call a brilliant derby. You know what I mean? And atmosphere wise, and goals, and the way Dundalk were 2 up. Deegan was sent off for Drogheda. I would say a little bit harshly, to be honest. I think the 2 yellows were. I don't think he necessarily had to give him the second yellow. I think he could have given a free. But anyway, they were 2-0 down, and down to 10 men, and unbelievably got it back to 2-2. Just be hit with a sucker punch right at the end. Maybe brief speech about that, if you like, before we get into the Shelburne game.
Yeah. Look, it was obviously a tough one to take. A great game, a great atmosphere, both sets of fans, unbelievable. But I think look, early on in the game, Drogheda were the better team. I think the first 20 minutes Drogheda were so much better than Dundalk, and it was scary. I turned to the lads I was with and I said, Dundalk are so weak. I said, we have to go away here. Like this, they're here for the taking. Markey has a great chance, 1-on-1 with the keeper. He's got to score. Simple as, he's got to score. He waits for the keeper to come out. He hit it first time. He has to score that. If you hit that, it's 1-0.
In the strike, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a really, really poor sort of finish, but you'd expect better from a player like him. But he that should have been 1-0, and if it's a 1-0 there, Drogheda take an early lead. I think it would have opened out for Drogheda because Drogheda were the better team, and then obviously Dundalk got that goal that kind of comes against the run of play. Then they go 2-0 up, and you're like, come on, take your chances, that type of way. And that's kind of been the story for Drogheda. They're getting chances in games, they're just not taking them. And when
especially at home, Luke, actually, I've noticed in the home matches mainly.
When you don't take your chances in the Premier Division, anyways, you're going to get punished regardless of who you're playing. You will be. Those teams need is 1 or 2 chances and they will score. So, look, that was obviously disappointing. But to get back to 2-2 was brilliant. Dale Rooney and obviously Draper score, and Draper was delighted for him because obviously he had that sort of tough one when he missed a penalty against Dundalk at home. Yeah. But to bounce back the way he has, and it's only a young lad. He's 18 years of age. Like, people have to remember that. Like, sometimes he's getting a bit of stick, but he's very young and he is raw, but he's gonna be a really, really good player. Like, I know we're going to talk about the game on Monday, but he's a handful. He's a real handful, and if he keeps going, he's going to get more goals for Drogheda this season. He just needs to be in and around there, and he will score. And it was obviously then in the last minute that they got the win, but very disappointing. But Drogheda can be happy with their performance in that one, but you want to be getting points on the board, and that was obviously a very disappointing night in Dundalk.
Yeah, and the game on Monday, as I said, Draper scored 49, Caffrey equalised after 69 from a free kick, and I suppose from Shelburne's point of view, they're unbeaten in 6 games. They're in 6 on 18 points. They have to be happy enough with their position, I think, at this minute. I mean, they're in that contention for Europe as such as well at this minute of time. But Drogheda point of view, again, kind of missed opportunities in the game, Luke. Kind of the mantra here, maybe.
Should have won. Simple as, should have won that game.
After 3 home games recently, Dundalk and Bohs. I know Bohs won 2-0, but they had an awful lot of chances in those games as well. And it seems to be a pattern at home. They're playing well at home, but you have to put the ball in the
net. Yeah, simple as. Yeah, you're right. Look, obviously it's not a bad point in the end, but realistically, you should have won. We've especially first half as well. We should have had a penalty. I don't know if you've seen that yourself. It was and the Paddy Barrett just took him out in the box. I was like, I don't know whether, I think the referee might be ball watching, to be honest, because he just completely missed it. Like, he was taken out in the box. But look, it's not a big surprise anymore, to be honest, that you don't get them decisions. But that would have obviously made a bit of a difference in the game. But then obviously Drogheda get the lead. Freddie was a great goal, great header, great ball into the box by Markey. So that was obviously quite good. And then after that, Drogheda then hit the crossbar not long later. But there were so many chances in the game Drogheda had that they could have scored and could have won the game. But
do you think it's playing on their mind a little bit now? Like, they're kind of being edgy when they're from the goal now because it's kind of become a thing nearly.
Yeah, possibly, but look, you know what I mean? They're still doing all right. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's still a case of we're doing quite well in games, and eventually your luck's gonna turn. Like, you know what I mean? So if they just keep going and your luck will turn, you will take chances in that. But like, it has to come. Like, you know what I mean? It really does, because look, they're doing quite well. There's still players out injured and players who aren't fit at the minute. Backs injured at the minute. You have Aaron McNally, who's don't think he's ever playing left back the other night, and he was brilliant. I thought he was man of the match, to be honest. He was fantastic. So obviously that was sort of good to see as well. But realistically, that should be the game draw to take 3 points from, and Shels. So I think Shels would be the happier the sides with the point in the end, because I think Drogheda were 10 times better than them.
Yeah, absolutely. Finished UCD nil, Dundalk 2 at the Belfield Bowl. John Martin on 35, not winner last week instead, Drogheda, and Ryan O'Kane in 90 minutes. I think one thing about Dundalk, Luke, I'm a little bit surprised Ryan O'Kane hasn't started all matches this season for them though.
He's electric. He's a very, very good player. He's a handful. He's really good. He gives any fullback in the league a problem. I think he's a very, very good player. Don't know why. I don't know if possibly something went on there. It's hard to know really, but he just the last 2 games now he started, I think, and he's scored 2 goals. So he's earning his place back into the team, obviously, which is good for him. But he's a fantastic player. He's a really good player, and that goal against UCD was brilliant. It was a great finish. So, and then obviously he took his goal fairly well. I think against Drogheda, I think the keeper probably could have done better, but he did take his goal quite well. But look, realistically, I think he's a really good player, and Dundalk have had 2 good wins in the last 2 games, and they needed that because they've had a fairly bad run, and they were in a fairly bad position in the table before them 2 games, and I think the Friday Monday has worked out really well for them, and they find themselves in a better position now and back in that sort of European contention.
It kind of shows how it flips though. We were having a pass there a second ago, and earlier on in the season they were down near the bottom, then they were near the top, near the bottom, but points wise very close. All it takes for Dundalk, as an example, a couple of wins, and then they're back in that driving seat. They could be down 7 a couple of weeks again, and could flip again. And that's the point. It's extremely tight there. And with Dundalk, I find this season, I don't know, at times they look terrible though. When they're bad, aren't they? Now you can say that about other teams maybe, but when they're bad, they're bad. But you know what I mean. It's hard to know really how good they actually are. Like I would have thought, to be honest, if they played Tulloch left wing and O'Kane right wing, I'd be quite worried as a fullback who's coming up against wingers like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know what it is they're lacking maybe compared to other seasons. Obviously with Hooven, when he's out injured, I think they miss something, a presence up front as well. Like even if he doesn't score, he's a presence. So him back in the team obviously helps as well. And I don't know. At times I watched them against Cork as well, Turner's Cross. I thought they were absolutely dreadful. I didn't think they were great that time at home to Drogheda, where they were very fortunate to win the game. And then they had results like they beat Pats 5-0, for example. They do 2-2 draw against Derry, where they look good as well. So hard to judge them, but you'd probably think that they will be in contention for top. I would say, would they even catch Bohs? Hard to know at this point, but certainly top 4. Would you say that they're kind of more likely to finish 4th though? It's hard to tell there. Yeah.
It's hard to tell. Hard to tell what way Pats are going to bounce back now from this. Obviously, in the next couple, what way that's going to go. But it swings and roundabouts. All you need really is 2 good results, and you're sort of back up, or 2 bad results, and looking over your shoulder then, and that can go for Pats now as well. And Shels, obviously, the likes of Dundalk, you mentioned Sligo, even Drogheda, like, you know what I mean? If you can get 2 good results, you're certainly looking up the table rather than behind you. So it sort of swings and roundabouts, and that's what's so good about it, to be honest, the league. Like, so I think it's hard to read, and you can't judge Dundalk because you don't know what they're going to do. They could turn out, and get bet this weekend and get bet the week after, and then suddenly they're looking behind them again. But they're looking like they're starting to hit a bit of form. So for their own sake, they'll want to keep that sort of going.
Yeah, I think Benson, when he's available, he's a big leader. He's a plus as well. But with UCD, it's a case of, like, they've been here before, like last year. They just need to stay in Cork's coattails, really, don't they? Maybe get a bit of luck later on in the season,
Yeah, look, and pick up, the win here and there, and what I mean, it'll help. Obviously, they did pick up a win against Cork a couple of weeks ago, so that obviously, and if they can keep doing that whenever they play like Cork, and when they play Drogheda, and when they play teams that are in around the same sort of areas, and if they can do that, then suddenly they're looking up the table as well. So look, it's obviously hard to know what way UCD are going to be, and what's going to happen in the summer with them. So it's obviously, you just can never predict with UCD, but look, never write them off either.
No, definitely not. The big game now, I suppose, Monday night, Derry City at the Brandywell went down 2-0 on the Shamrock Rovers. Towel burned with the goals there. I think that's 6 wins and 7 for Rovers. 1 was a draw. Their away form has been unbelievable lately. 1 at Derry 2-0, Pats 2-0. Who else did they beat? They beat Bohs 2-0 as well. And it was a 4-0 win in Dundalk. Despite their poor start, the funny thing is, though, they've only lost 1 match all season, Shamrock Rovers, all the same. Like, that kind of way. And they're really starting to pour now and motor, aren't they? And I think that was a statement win. When you've Jack Byrne back fish as well, Pico Lopez back fish, and he's back in the team recently as well. And the options they have, you just couldn't see them not getting back into this race, could you? And it's a massive win in Derry. Derry be disappointed after the win against Pats, and they missed a penalty, Ben Doherty later on as well. But massive win for Shamrock Rovers, and as I said, they're coming in the right direction now, Luke. And you still have to say they're favourites, wouldn't you, to win this league? I think.
Absolutely. I fully agree there. I think they're the benchmark. You know what I mean? Everyone, they're still the team. They're still the team to beat. Like, you know what I mean? There's no question marks about it. Like, they're still the team to take off the top, and I think they will get back top sort of soon in the next sort of couple of weeks. And I think this Friday is a good opportunity for them to sort of get closer now to Bohs, and I think they will do it. But look, it's obviously we will predict the game, but it's Rovers. They're starting to hit a bit of form now. Jack Byrne's looking fantastic, staying as well. So that's obviously great for them, you know what I mean? And to not lose him, because if they had lost him, it's a real blow. It is a real blow. I don't think people realise how significant a player he actually is for them. Like, you sort of take a real creativity out of that team, and when you don't have him there, and
at the end of the day, he's an Irish international as well. Like, you know what I mean? Only for a number of things, injuries and that, he may have still got another few caps as well. You know, that kind of way.
I think he's the best player in the league, to be honest with you. Best player in the league. I think when he's on form, he's yeah. But look, it's good that they've kept him, you know what I mean, for their sake, because obviously he's a fantastic player, and regardless of whether he sort of stays next season or whatever happens there, I don't know if he's going to sign a new contract. And that, I've seen there is reports that he was offered a new contract, but I don't think there's been a decision on that. But he'll look at that, and he'll make a decision himself. But he's just class, and Rovers are starting to find a bit of form, and that's a good win away to Derry. It's a statement. I don't know what the story is with Derry. I just can't seem to put my finger on it at the minute.
Their home form, like, I think that's they've won the last 6 at home. I think won the last 6 at home. I think as well, and that was
for a team
struggling
for a team that's looking to win the league. It's just nowhere near good enough. No. And until you sort that out, you'll be nowhere near that top spot. So they need to sort that out, obviously. But look, they've obviously got injuries and that at the minute. But everyone has injuries, so you just got to get on with it. You know, that type of way.
You just wonder if they really do have the squad. And they have a very good squad. Don't get me wrong, but do they have the squad? It's to match Shamrock Rovers still. I'm not sure what it is. What is it they're missing? It's hard to know. Maybe up front. Now, Colin Whelan's come in and got a couple of goals, and maybe he's the man to kind of help them in that regard, But when you look at Rovers, and you've got Johnny Kenny, Gaffney, Greg Burke, all these lads can score goals. Richie Towell from midfield score goals. Even their centre halves score goals. Like, you know what I mean? Pico Lopez, Lee Grace. Like, there's goals everywhere in the Shamrock Rovers team. I think with Derry sometimes, I don't know, they come up a little bit short that way. McGonigal doesn't score as many as he should score. Keane Kavanagh doesn't really score when he plays. As I mentioned with Whelan there, maybe he can come in and do well. But I think Ollie O'Neill has done well in some games, but he hasn't been clinical enough. It's finishing. Yeah. So I think Rovers are just more clinical, actually.
Whelan's had a nasty injury as well. To be relying on someone like that he's so well, and to be coming back with that sort of ACL injury, can't be relying on that. You know what I mean? He's got to take goals. Look, he's done well. He's got 2 goals, but you're gonna have to give him time. He's gonna need to get his fitness back and get it back to where he was to be really like relying on him, because I don't think if you're going for a league title, you can't be relying on someone who's just bounced back from an ACL injury. You need to have players that are ready to come in there and do that. I have my doubts about that Derry squad. I think, look, it is obviously on paper. You look at it, it's very good, but you just wonder what is. As you mentioned, going forward, there just seems to be something missing. Look, Graydon's a good player, but I don't think he's that quality of playing for.
He's quite. Would you have him in the Shamrock Rovers team? Probably not.
No, and it's the same with McGonigal. Get McGonigal into that Shamrock Rovers team, probably not. It's you look at that, you start comparing squads. It's what happens when the 2 teams, who are facing off for a title. What happens? Their squads get compared, and when you look at
the one question was kind of maybe Shamrock Rovers, the hunger element might die off a little bit, but you can clearly see that's not the case. Like, you know what I mean?
No, it won't, and I don't think it will. Like, do you know what I mean? Because even when they've got Europe and that coming up during the summer or whatever, they've always done it. You know what I mean? They've always been professional. It's what good teams do. Like, it's what good teams really do, and it's what teams who win trophies and win big honors do. Like they have different things go on in the season. They could be playing 3 times a week. You know what I mean? And they still do the job. So, in fairness, that's what Shamrock Rovers has done over the years, and Derry are looking to get there. I still think they will, Derry, eventually, but this year possibly could be too soon again for them.
Right, so Luke, we'll give our predictions for the weekend's games as well. And Cork City and Pats take on each other in turns cross. John Daly, who was the assistant to Tim Clancy, will take over there as interim manager. And so it's Cork City with a bit of news as well that Liam Buckley is the new director of football as well, which could be a good appointment for Liam as well at this stage of his career as well. But I think with Cork, they're kind of looking to build really for the future as well. Like, they're not throwing loads of money at it the way they used to before. But interesting game at turns cross. Do you expect a reaction from Pats in this game?
Yeah, look, they'll need to. It's obviously they're going to get a bit of a bounce now. These things always happen to get the sort of new manager bounce or whatever. I know he's not new or whatever. He's been there and players and that, but players will look at that as an opportunity now to bounce back, and they have to. You know what I mean? They simply have to. Club like Pats, we always expect Pats to be up in there, but like we were saying earlier, their squad's not. It's not up to that level to be competing for like a league title and that. So they will want to get there, but it's not right now. It's not possible. But I think they will win this game. I do really think they'll win this game. I think they'll only win it 1-0 though. I think it's going to be a real cagey game, but I think they'll just edge it out 1-0.
I'll go 2-1 Pats, but a draw wouldn't surprise me either. Weavers Park, Drogheda United and Derry, and Drogheda done quite well against Derry at, it's not to say head of the game, because usually it's head of the game or United Park, but it's Weavers Park, of course. Yeah. But, they've done well at home to Derry, basically, in recent years, haven't they?
Yeah, and look, they went up to Derry as well this season and got a good win. So,
course, yeah.
You don't know. You don't really know with this one. It's a tough one to call. Derry, I don't really think Derry like coming down to Drogheda, to be honest. I think they always kind of start well and then kind of struggle as the game goes on. I've always noticed that with Derry when they come down to Drogheda, but I'm going to go with a draw for this one. I actually think it's going to be 1-0.
I think Derry might edge it 1-0, to be honest with you. Shelbourne and UCD at Tolka Park. Last time Shelbourne played UCD, Damien Duff wasn't a happy camper. They drew 0-0 and he was quite annoyed with the performance, let's say. So, but this is the type of game sometimes with Shels struggling because they're expected to be, the team in ascendancy, you know what I mean? But in recent weeks, I think, their attack has looked quite fluid. Manny Smith's come into form. Jack Mulligan's been playing well as well. So you'd expect them surely to beat UCD, I think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm expecting Shels. I think they'll be looking for a reaction from Monday. Obviously, they didn't lose the game, but they could have easily lost it badly. Like they could have conceded 3 or 4. So they'll be looking for a reaction for that. Their performance, they'll know it wasn't good enough. But they'll be happy with the points. So I think realistically, I think they're going to get a win here, and I think they'll win it comfortably. I think it'll be 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, I got 2-0 Shelbourne. Yeah, the big game of the weekend. It's always the big game as such. With Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians take on each other, yeah, because they bring the biggest crowds, all that kind of stuff. We all know they don't like each other, etc. But the fact that Bohs are top of the league and Rovers are on form and 4 points behind, this is probably the biggest South Dublin derby. Do you hear me? This is the biggest Dublin derby between Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians in a long, long time.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And if they're 2 teams that are first and second, I don't think we've said that in a long time for Bohs.
And certainly wouldn't be Bohs that'd be the team ahead of Rovers very often.
Yeah. Bohs confidence going into this. They want to cause I wouldn't say an upset, but it'd be tough to go to Tallinn and get a win, obviously. But
if they did go to Tallinn and get the win, wouldn't it? Particularly the way Shamrock Rovers are playing as well.
Oh no, would it be like maybe sort of where it's like a statement that we're not here to sort of just to be here for a couple of weeks and sit on top and then we'll fall off. That they'll want to be competing at that sort of top. So if they do that, they can. If they win, obviously against Rovers, that'd be big. But you know what? I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
I think that'll be a good result for Bohemians, to be honest. But I think Rovers might nick it though. I think 2-1 Shamrock Rovers for me. On Saturday then, Sligo Rovers take on Dundalk. And both teams are actually, they're neck and neck in the table, really. They're both 19 points and she's very close. I mean, they're both 5 wins, 4 draws, 4 defeats. Dundalk scored 19, conceded 16. Sligo scored 18, conceded 16. So they're almost literally neck and neck. This is an interesting one, and Sligo look to take, I suppose, the confidence of the win at Richard Park into this game. And obviously, as you said there, Dundalk are after winning a couple of games in a row. So I don't know, I'm feeling there might be goals in this one, actually.
Yeah, this could be a good game. Possibly, you said they're fairly neck and neck with each other, so it could be a really interesting game. I think it could go either way, but you know what? I think Sligo are going to come out on top in this one. I think they're going to win the game 2-1.
Brilliant. I'll go 2-2, so I'll go against it. Look, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on, Luke, as usual. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know your predictions, and see you later. Thank you.